This is Gary Wright with Conversations Plus and Donna Franklin. And Donna, you here at World Renewal are the director of our ministries. You have been here previous to this particular phase of ministry that you're doing here. When you first came here to World Renewal, what was that, 8 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You really had to wear a lot of hats, which kind of now is that wasn't always fun for you, but now it's prepared you because in your job, how would you describe your job?
Well, it is a broad job, so it's kind of hard to describe, but I work with all of our ministry partners, all of our pastors, leaders, and missionaries to pray with them, to support them, to meet all their needs, find out what their funding goals and needs are, their budgets, just a whole gamut of
I would
things.
use the word that you serve all of them.
Yes.
However they need to be served.
Yeah, and each one's different.
Well, and the majority of them are in another country,
Right.
and yet they're very much often dependent financially and in other ways on things here in North America and the United States. And I would say, we'd never had that position before. It was just kind of several people did that. You have done that so well, and I'm so thankful to have you as a part of World Renewal.
Thank you.
Now, you and I are family.
Yes,
we're double first cousins, which that's kind of confusing to people. Like, what's that mean? That means two brothers, the Wright brothers, married sisters, and so it didn't matter which side of the family we went to.
We were always there.
We were there together.
Both sides.
And we were really blessed with a wonderful, godly family.
Yes.
Now, you spent how many years in banking?
36 years in banking.
36 years of banking, and then you went from banking to working here at World Renewal. We have been discussing callings, that whole part of us where we sense God is sending us to do some ministry. How did you make that decision?
Well, when you called me in December of 2014, that was not on my radar. I wasn't even thinking about that, but I had been going through a period of time where I was burnt out and I was just tired of banking. I was tired of the whole thing. I was doing well, but I was just tired of it. And when you started talking to me about the job at World Renewal, I started feeling the presence of God come over me so strong, and it was just waves and waves of His presence. And I felt like He was trying to get my attention, and I thought, oh no, I can't do this. I can't go from banking to a nonprofit organization and work in this. I just can't. It's family, I just had all these things I couldn't do. Well, I said, let me pray about it, and we talked a little bit further, and then the next morning I remember calling you and saying, the Holy Spirit won't leave me alone. He will not stop this wave of His presence and saying, this is what He wanted for me. And I didn't understand it, but I wanted to be obedient because that's what we're supposed to do. And I didn't want to be outside of God's will. I felt it was the best decision I'd made in my life. And He prepared me for what I'm doing today by working with clients, by doing the banking side of things, managing side of things on the branches, and then corporate banking. All those things have added together and given me the skills that I have to do what I do today.
I certainly have seen that all happen. It seems like he doesn't waste any of our experiences, good or bad. And you have needed, what you do is very complex. Missionaries tend to be very passionate, very pioneering, and often fearless. and they're not going to let anything get in the way of them accomplishing what they feel like God's called them to do. That doesn't always make them easy to work with.
Exactly.
And you've needed those years of dealing with people in banking to develop the skills to deal with patience with a lot of our various workers globally and here in the United States. When you think of what you're doing right now here at World Renewal, being the director of ministries, you know, we talk about being in the right seat on the bus. It feels like you are now in the right seat on the bus for both us and you. How, if that is true for you, how do you view that?
Well, I call it the sweet spot because I've never been this place before. I've always had a job. I've always had good jobs. I've always loved what I do. As I said, at the end of my banking career, I knew it was time to do something else, but I didn't know what that was. But I feel such a peace and a joy about what I do. And it's that peace that passes all understanding. We don't know how we get so much peace. I can lay my head down at night. I don't have anything to worry about. I don't worry about the ministries. I give it all to God. We have prayer meeting here at World Renewal every week, and we cry out to God for the needs of the people. And many prayers are answered before we get up. Not all of them are. Some of them we don't even know what the consequences of our prayer is going to be. But I just feel God has given me such a peace, and He's shown me just in the last 2-3 years when I've been doing this position that it's right where I'm supposed to be, and it's the best thing I've ever done in my life to be in His will.
I mentioned that when you first came here, you had to wear a lot of hats, which meant that we had lots of needs, and you weren't. It was not always comfortable. The seats the hats you were wearing, the seats you were sitting in, and yet I again feel like you having that experience is helpful. And for those who are contemplating ministry, we don't always, I think, understand when we're going through, say, difficult situations or whatever, that's part of the preparation, because World Renewal, in the last 2 or 3 years during COVID, we just grew enormously.
Yes,
and we really needed all of your skills because we keep adding countries. We keep which means we keep adding people for you to serve, and we really needed your skills.
Well, I appreciate that because God has used it. He taught me through the banking side of things when I was in branch banking and also corporate banking, how to work with people and how to listen and how to be patient and how to make them right when they weren't right, but yet them to feel good about what I was going to deliver, which was not what they wanted to hear, but never lying, never deceiving anybody. And it's the same thing in ministry. You have to be completely transparent and honest. And integrity is everything, and everything I've done in the past and what I'm doing today. And I think that keeps me feeling very good about what I do. I get up in the morning and I don't know what my day is going to be like. That's ministry. Every day is different.
And yours is more like that because things are happening globally with these leaders, and then they give us a phone call, and we're like, and those phone calls, a large percentage of the countries we now serve are what we would call persecuted countries, where it's illegal to lead someone to Christ. Yep. And our leaders get put in jail. They have death sentences hanging over them. And like you said, when you start the day, you don't know what you're going to hear.
Yeah, exactly. And they're many times 6 to 9 to 12 hours ahead of us. So when I go to bed, sometimes I'm getting messages because they're getting up, and I don't
Yeah.
stop until
Yeah.
I don't stop until I feel comfortable that that ministry or that leader is getting what he needs to do his day. Because while I'm sleeping, he's having his day.
Yeah.
So it's different than anything I've ever done. But God really blessed me to put us together as family and back together, get to learn more about each other, and then also to watch World Renewal grow the way it has, and to be involved in some great leaders that just
Yes.
they work outside the
Hey,
box in a wonderful way.
now you grew up, you're a pastor's daughter, but also during kind of the transition from banking to do this, you finished not only an undergraduate degree at Berkeley College, and
My graduate work.
and then you did graduate work at Berkeley College and have your master's, and those things really. You also, which means you put yourself in a position to do what you're doing today.
It
Because
helped a
your
lot.
undergrad was a leadership
Development.
position.
Yeah, and then it was church planning and multiplication was my graduate work, and for
Which
my
is what we
master's.
do.
Yep. And so it really opened my eyes to a lot of opportunities, and just listening to people and how they're, and then kind of helping guide them along the way if they don't have the skills or knowledge. But most of our people do. But sometimes I'll just throw something out and they'll go, "Wow, that's great."
Yeah.
Some things come back to me that way. They'll say, "Well, what about this?" And I'll go, "That's great."
Well,
So,
and as the world renewal is growing, and we have to make more decisions, and sometimes we have to make them quickly. Also, it's been really nice that I know you think. I know how you think. You know how I think, and we're able to make decisions often without even asking each other because we already know.
no, yeah,
And that's a comfort,
it is.
and that's a trust that's kind of wonderful.
When I first started doing that, I said, You may fire me, but I made a decision today, and then I tell you what it is, and you go, "Nope, that's what I would do." So we
Yeah.
got to that.
And there's also that team part where you often, well, before we got on camera here, we were talking about. I'm not. Oh, I don't always hear details correctly. I'm a visionary person. You with your banking background, you're very much into details. So I don't like to ever go to any kind of meeting of importance without you there, because that means that we're not going to get some information communicated back to everybody else that is needed. And
But
so
we complement each other too,
yeah.
because you've got qualities I don't have, and then I have skill set that is not it's not the way God made you. So He's using both of us together as a team to catapult things forward in a great way.
Well,
So,
I've never enjoyed not doing team. I've never been a solo person. Back when Carol and I started doing ministry, when we were 20 years old, we immediately formed a team, and to me that's just the strength that we ought to use. So,
yeah.
Donna, thank you for your work here at World Renewal. Thank you for taking time today to share with people a little bit about what it's like to transition to more ministry in our lives. And thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.